right, a very good morning, the people who are watching us live on Westnile television. We are back here in the second edition of this week, and today is a Tuesday, that is the 5th of September 2023. My name is Frederick Dramadri. We'll be here discussing a lot of issues. We are just 5 minutes to 8 a.m. So we are here joined by Farish Majid, and we'll be discussing a lot of issues within the region and also those that are far away within the nation. And also we'll be tackling out on some of the key issues that are really touching some of the people, the personalities, and also the constitution that we have in this country. There are a lot of issues now about the laws that we have, especially to do with narcotics and psychotropical those acts that we have in this country. We have seen Mabrizi coming out to petition and challenge some of the actions of the security personnel about the arrest of people who have violated this law. These are the things that we'll be bringing for you. And also looking at the local stories within the region, there are a number of issues that are there. But first of all, let me welcome Farish Majid to the show.
Yes, good morning, Frederick, and good morning, dear viewer. I'm called Farish Majid, and you're most welcome on the show. From Arua City, the weather is so chilly, and I should say it's a lovely Tuesday morning, and you're most welcome aboard, as we shall be discussing a number of issues on the show with Frederick Dramadri till the hour of 9 a.m.
Okay, if you talk about the weather, the meteorologists have indicated that really we will have heavy downpour throughout the day. So we're waiting which district is receiving rain at what time and so on. So that is one thing you should be prepared. If you are coming to Westnile region, you should be prepared with your jazz, okay? You should be able to have that sweater or jumper or coat. You should be putting it on. That is one thing we should be aware of. But also as people who are tourists, this is one of the attractive tourism centers. Westnile region has colorful sites that are there to really give you the flavor of using your money effectively. One of these are the natural sites, but also the man-made sites that we have. And also these are so many that you will not regret maybe injecting your money into coming to these places. Only 2,000 when you want to access the gate to Miriadua Falls in Marasa district. That's one of the popular sites that really has attracted a lot of revenue for the sub-county that is in Kijomoro sub-county in Marasa district. So these are some of the areas that we want people to really be able to see. But also if we move to Nebi, between Nebi and Zomboy, we have the smallest church in Africa, in the world, that you will be able to see. That only accommodates 3 people, okay? There are only 3 people who will be accommodated per maybe any session of prayers. Maybe Paris.
To add on what you're saying, actually on Saturday, coming to an end.
Yes.
Minister, that is Joyce Kaduku Moriku, who was the chief guest, actually asked those people who are there. Remember, these events attracted a number of people, so from the whole country, and we also had 10 other schools that came in from Kenya. So I think the minister was there, and she asked the people who came for this event to benchmark and identify some of the potential tourist sites in this region, and she actually asked them to come back, because we have a number of tourism centers, but we have never explored them. Just like what you have said here, we have so many potential tourism sites in this region, but one issue that has been always there is that we have not been able to explore and identify these facilities. So I think it goes back to those who are responsible in terms of tourism to also let the world know of what we have in this region, so that at the end of the day we shall be able to get a number of tourists. You can just imagine how many people came for these events, and if we had these places identified, we would actually first of all take them to these places. This is my own view. First of all, I advise them to visit these places. We could take them to Mirador and see what is there, so that at the end of the day, if 1 or 2 people go back with the mentality that there is such a thing, and then at the end of the day, they would also encourage other people maybe to return back to this place in the nearby days, to come back, so that they will also come back and have a chance of seeing this place. At the end of the day, we'll be able to also boost tourism in this region.
True. Maybe first, let me pose this question. Have you been able to move to the famous chief's grave, the Ajay? That is in Mariokolo, the brain behind Adzai Game Reserve. That place, if you go right now, it is one of the most attractive places, and a lot of history has been written there for you to study and also really understand how Madi people are related to other tribes, but also how really Adzai Wildlife Reserve came about, how this sole person was able to get his own land and say, this, I'm keeping wild animals in it. That was one interesting thing that you'll be able to learn from there. So that's why I'm saying there are so many potential sites that we have not tapped into. There are so many areas that most of the local governments have not really shown to the world that these are potential areas to tourism. Just because we have failed to document some of them, but also give that leeway of maybe publishing them to the public to see and also be motivated. This is one way that local governments will be able to really bring back money that is always moving away from Westnile region. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be able to move into the issues and also some of the stories that we want you to know this morning. What is happening in Westnile region, but also on the national scene, what is happening. Those are the things that we'll be able to bring to you. Let's take a break.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region. Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Star TV with StarTimes Inside Technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
From that commercial break, we are discussing about the potential tourism sites and also really how local governments should be able to exploit and also really show the world these potentials in order to tap revenue from most of these people who want to spend money, who want to get better places for adventure, leisure, and so on. These are the areas where we think a lot can be really done for this region. Apart from us having the business centers and also the farming that we identified of what other things can we really do in order to attract money to this region. That's one thing we are discussing with Faris Mazid. Maybe Faris, let's pick it from the issues to do with Adzai Wildlife Reserve that we are discussing about. Maybe, yes.
This is a country that is so much blessed, I should say. Uganda is so much blessed, but one issue that we have been lacking behind tourism is the issue of advertisement, of letting the world know of what we have. I can tell you this game reserve has been there since 1930-something. It has been there. 1937. It has been there. It was gazetted after one of the chiefs of Madi, that was Ajay, because Ajay had love for conservation of these animals. So I think it gazetted that animal, it gazetted that land for protecting these animals, and that is why that is how this game reserve came into existence, and that's when the government came in and to pick this issue and then conserve it for future generations. So I think it has stood the test of time, but now the issue that is coming up is we need to conserve the animals more. We need to come up on board and preserve these animals, and one way we are going to preserve them is by creating boundaries. I can tell you this is one of the game reserves in this country that is among the least visited, but it has the potentials, it has the animals, it has the different tree species, the grassland is there, but not very much visited. Actually, I'm following up on that story because the government has plans now, proposals of expanding the game reserve. Actually, the negotiations have already started with the community members who have been affected, but some people are already fighting this. So I think the leaders there have asked the community members to not to fight this move, because
when you talk about the issues of acquisition of land, yes, for expansion for the Adzai Game Reserve, I did a lot of stories about this. Yes. One of the issues that I've seen in this area of acquisition of land is community mobilization. People have not been sensitized about what is coming.
Frederick,
two, if you look at the issues to do with the compensation, the issue is not direct. Most times these people deal with the leaders of the district living along, maybe living the sub-counties out, and this people feel like the district leaders are the ones eating the money up there, Frederick, and they have been really cheated down here, and that's the perception of the community that I saw.
The problem that is coming out as a result of the compensation is that, Frederick, I can tell you, this land belongs to the Madis. But we have so many Lubara tribes that are there. This is how it is coming. We have the other tribes that are not Madis, but when they came, you remember how these people came into existence there? Most of them had actually come to do farming, and then they were given land. And now when the issue of the compensation is coming on board, these people who gave out their land are now coming back. They also want their land back because they want to be compensated, and that is bringing a lot of chaos. It's bringing a lot of wrangles there. I think that is one issue that also the government needs to look out for, because these people gave out their land to these people who are farmers. These people who came from the other tribes to do farming in this land of Madi, because that Ajay land is typical in Madi land. So I think the Madis who are there already complaining because they want the compensation, because they are seeing now people to whom they gave the land freely are going to benefit. I think that is now where the issue is coming. But now the government is asking them to accept this move because it is coming up in good faith. Because once this issue is taken care of, if we shall see an expansion in terms of tourism being boosted in Madiland, and that the tourism also not just meant for Madiokolo district, but we also help the entire Westnile sub-region, because some of these tourists will not want to sleep in Madi, but they will opt to sleep in Arua City and then head there just because of the proximity, because Madiokolo, where Ajay Game Reserve is found, is just very near to Arua. It is I think a 2 hours journey. If you have to use motor vehicles or cars, it is just not more than 2 hours. So I think they will opt to want to sleep in some of the hotels there, and that is going to help the people also. Once this thing is done, we are going to be having a tourism center that is going to be set up there, where the Madis will also have their cultures preserved. That is one advantage of the expansion of the Ajay Game Reserve. So I think the people there need to embrace this. They should not shun it, because at the end of the day, what we want is tourism being boosted in this region. Frederick, I can tell you, if you look at Rwanda, Rwanda didn't have tourism just like it's on the scale that is how it is done today. But due to advertisement, due to the animals that they brought on board, now Rwanda is one of the countries that people want to visit a lot. People want to have so many things that they want to talk about Rwanda, just because the country is, what the country is doing is that they have set a pace whereby they are advertising, they are letting the world know of what is happening. So I think West Nile and Uganda at large need to do this. We need to let the world know of what is happening back in Uganda here, because we have so many potential tourism sites. Actually, we could be able to also get a lot of money in terms of foreign exchange from these from tourists who could be coming from other countries to visit what is here, that maybe at the end of the day we shall be able to be generating a lot of monies when it comes to tourism, because tourism as a sector, trust me, it brings a lot of money in different forms, and so many people are both directly or indirectly employed in the tourism sector. So I think that is one thing we need to take up. We need to ensure that our tourism centers are protected and taken care of, and we also let the world know of what is happening back in Arua here and back in Westnile, I should say, and in Uganda at large. Okay, so
if you look at so many of the officers that have been employed to market tourism in Uganda, we'll talk about locally the tourism officers that we have in these some districts that are there. But I've not seen any intervention by them to really publicly come out with the potential tourism sites. Maybe they are still trying to come up with them. For over the years, this has been really something that has gone for a while. We expected the tourism officers to document some of these sites and also move to the cultural leaders and really ask them about the potential of cultural sites and also some of the tourism sites that are already there that were existing, and also that those that are man-made. Maybe away from the tourism potentials that we have in Western region. For instance, yesterday we received a news of maybe a shocking news from Pakwach district, where one person was swallowed by crocodile on the River Nile. So this is really something that is affecting so many people in terms of thinking about how fishing is done on this river, but also looking at the safeguards that people, the fishermen, deploy when they are doing this activity. We are meant to understand that so many of our fishermen use illegal methods of fishing, but also in terms of the equipment that we use and also the transport system that we have, it doesn't have any protection anyhow in any way. In case maybe you fall in the water, there's no way you are going to come up, because most of the people do not put on these jackets. So really, Faris, that is one of the worrying situation there in Pakwach district. I don't know what you have slightly on this, because we have registered so many of these cases year in, year out, that have been coming from these districts that are along the source of the river.
Just to add on what you're saying, we have had a lot of these fights over the years. The fight, what do I mean? The human and wildlife fightings that have always been there. You know, crocodiles, for them, there's no way you're going to tell them not to eat human beings, because they want food. And that is how we need to be keen of ourselves when we're on this water bodies. A few days ago, I think a few years ago, I was at Murchison Falls National Park, and one of the water bodies there, actually, we are told that had crocodiles. So I think we are restricted from going to these places. So I think it is back to also the fishermen to identify where some of these places where the crocodiles might be hiding, and they avoid going there, because crocodiles are not like human beings whereby you're going to tell them not to do something. And that is very risky. Frederick, I can tell you how it is going to impact now. What if these people go back and start killing the crocodiles? So at the end of the day, we shall also be seeing these crocodiles being lost, and then maybe get an extinction of the crocodile species in this country. So I think that is something the government needs to come up, and maybe also go back and compensate the families of those people, because if these communities are not restricted from doing this, we shall be seeing people killing the crocodiles. Just like as I told you earlier on, the human-wildlife conflicts have always been there. Because these wild animals, for them, they're not like human beings whereby you're going to tell them not to do certain things. But what we can do is maybe have means of living harmoniously with them and of having them protected. But that is one issue that it's quite sad. We are seeing somebody being lost in terms of crocodiles there, because crocodiles, Frederick, you can tell, some of these animals are very dangerous. Not only crocodiles, we have so many these aquatic animals that are in water bodies that are so very dangerous. So we know how they can be dangerous to human life. So I think it goes back to these human beings who live around these areas to be very keen of what is happening, maybe of what some of the things that are happening on these water bodies. We have had scenarios whereby people have been injured or killed by some of these animals. Not only crocodiles, we have had buffaloes killing people on these water bodies. So I think it goes back to them to have means of maybe protecting themselves from these dangerous animals on the water bodies. So I think that is one issue. It is very sad that somebody is losing a life to these aquatic animals, but what we need to do is ensure that we solve this issue amicably. We have means to avoid future occurrences of such events. So I think the government needs to come up and also explain to these people, and let the community also understand means, because they are the ones that live around these water bodies. Because I believe people who live around these water bodies have experiences of these animals. They have been there. Because somebody who is new, like me, I cannot go up and start operating on these water bodies unless I was born there. So I think let them have means, let them devise means maybe of averting some of the future challenges. That is what I can make of the human and wildlife animal conflicts that have always been over time.
Yes, if you look at the human-wildlife conflict, most times these come when really human activities tend to interfere with the activities of the wildlife. This has been really witnessed not only on water bodies but also on farmlands. Many times people go for farming, you see maybe the lion coming or elephants come to destroy some of these crops. At some point also the lions chasing people. Those are moments that we have registered so much. But really I think government needs to do a lot to do with the sensitization of people. But there are many people who do not understand that these animals at some point can behave like this. But also people who move into these water bodies, especially those who live along the water bodies, let's have let's be vigilant of what is happening. And also when you are entering the water, you should not be entering alone. You should be with the colleagues so that you are able to respond to such things. In case somebody has maybe fallen off in the water, he or she can be rescued, or other people will be able to notify some of the officers. Talk about the marine officers who are basically trained in handling such issues to do with water and the humans and so on. People who enter the water, they are the ones to rescue. So let's be in touch with those kind of persons, but also let's not do things illegally. Let's move in a quorum in order to really do certain things. Maybe slightly away from that human, animal, wildlife conflict, if you come to Arua City, there is already a suspected case of trachoma, not a case, but already 399 people have been suspected of having trachoma that is really affecting their eyes, but also health workers are predicting that these cases might be bigger than that, looking at what is currently happening. If you talk about trachoma, this is one of the disease to do with hygiene. It's a bacterial disease that affects the eyes, turns your eyes to be maybe red, and also makes the eyelids to fall into the eyes and so on, the eyebrows and so on. So you will realize that there is that kind of maybe tear coming from the eye, and also you'll realize that there are some signs of like a pus, something coming like a pus in your eyes, and so those are the things that come with trachoma. But also if you talk about this, how this was identified was there are some people who complained in some of the health facilities, and after realizing that this was trachoma, the health workers notified the city authorities, who then trained the VSTs and directed them to go and do rough sampling of what is happening on in the communities. So they came up with these 399 cases, and one of the leading former sub-counties is Domi, which is here in Aif Division. So that is one of the areas, followed by Pajulu, and this have been attributed to the cross-border movements and also the way people behave. You remember Pajulu is closer to Arua district, and also it is partly touching DRC Congo, even Domi the same. So those are the reasons that were fronted. But what can people do? One of the issues that was said to be one of the remedies to this is hand washing, vigorous hand washing before you touch your eyes. That is one moment you will be able to do this. But also, if you can't report these cases, you are fit to become a blind person. That is one of the serious issues that has been fronted. Maybe this is something that affects the communities here in Arua City. But also those visitors who are coming, when you are coming, please, you have greeted someone, wash your hands before you touch your eyes. That's one thing that we
wash it with the soap, not only water alone. So I think, Frederick, this issue of trachoma trachoma has been there over the years. I don't remember the last time I had a case of trachoma in this region. I think it has spent more than 10 or 15 years perhaps now.
True.
But this disease was always there. I remember when we were in primary, when we had an outbreak of this disease. So I think it was quite sad. Personally, I was not affected by this disease, but people were affected by that disease. I think I
experienced it.
I didn't experience
so you survived.
Yeah, I survived. I was a survivor.
In my childhood, I experienced it.
During primary times, I think I was a survivor of this disease. But people who had this disease, I think we have quite many, and it was really sad to see them suffering because their eyes, you will see tears rolling their eyes, you could see their eyes becoming red. So I think it is not an easy disease. So I want to appeal to those people who are there, these masses who are watching us, maybe who are not even watching us, those who are watching, maybe also extend the message to these people who are, once they contract the diseases, let them not hesitate being at home. Let them rush to the nearest medical facilities to get first aid from these medical facilities, because at the end of the day, this disease is very dangerous. Just like what you said, you risk losing your eyesight, and you know how important the eyesight is. So I think we should not risk with this disease being at home. Let us take the preventive measures of washing our hands with soap, and we should avoid handshakes if possible. We should not greet, even if it is bad. But you know our culture, Frederick, if you not greet people, people start taking you to be in discipline, you lack respect. But I think. But
one funny thing around greeting is I've seen in churches they have continued to impress the directives of COVID.
Yes,
people are not greeting physically. Yes. Maybe handshaking is not allowed in the churches up to date. That was one of the things I was really amazed with. I was like, COVID has ended. What is the issue? Why is it that people are still not shaking their hands? So, one of the priests told me that in order to avoid maybe transmission of diseases, apart from the COVID that we're talking about, they have said it is a stand that they will not allow people to greet maybe a handshake in the church.
So, Frederick,
yes, that's one thing.
I think in these two places you mentioned, one issue that has always been there contributing to this issue is, I think, the issue of handshakes. You know, in this region, when it comes to handshakes, we really tend too much to trust handshakes. So I think with the elders, we should now avoid handshakes. I think we also need to go back to these people and sensitize them on means of fighting this disease that is currently booming up in these places you mentioned. But I think we can, if we can be able to avoid the issues of handshakes, maybe at the end of the day we shall be able to see reduction in terms of these issues. And just like what you mentioned, avoid touching your eyes if possible. And if you feel that you cannot avoid touching your eyes, once you've greeted somebody, find soap and water, clean, and must be clean water. Wash your eyes properly. Maybe at the end of the day, you will be able to see also yourself avoiding to contract trachoma there. So I think that goes back to these people, and it goes back to health workers. We need to go back and sensitize the masses to avoid this disease, because 390 something is a huge number, Frederick, and these are the reported cases. What about those that are not reported, which are still there lying among the community members? Because, Frederick, once these cases are reported, this does not mean that these are the only numbers. True. Sometimes these are just the reported cases. What about those that are not reported? So I think it goes back to the medical personnel to go back to the societies and sensitize them before it is still time, before we run out of time, maybe, if we are not to be witnessing this disease extending to other places. So I think we need to avoid it, because this disease, if not controlled in time, we should also see it spread to the neighboring districts of Maracha, Terego, and Madiokolo. So I think that is one issue that we need to do as government. We need to sensitize the people. We need to come up on board and explain this the means that they can actually use to avoid this disease, because trachoma is really a hard disease. It is quite painful. We have seen these people crying. We have seen tears rolling their eyes. So I think we need to come up on board and explain to these people what they can exactly do, maybe in terms of avoiding the disease.
Okay, so Ministry of Health has also taken this up, and they are rolling out a general operation, and also the surgery of maybe the people's eyes who have been suspected to be having this. It will be from next week, Monday. That is when they will be moving to some of these health facilities to help the people out at a free cost. So this is yet at free. In case you have those kind of signs, you should be able to come to the nearby health facility to seek for medical advice. But also the officials will be there, the officers, the nurses and so on will be there to guide you on what best to be done based on the assessment of your eye. But also, if you feel like you don't want it, you can remain home. When you remain home, you'll be the one feeling the repercussion. When you are blind, When you are blind, you know the challenges that come with blindness. That means, first of all, the city will be able to lose human labor in terms of employment and also work experience. Because if me, as Dramadu Frederick, I lose my eye, I will not be able to see who is coming, and I will not be able to effectively work the way people expected me to do. So we need to take care of our eyes. We need to take those measures that are brought by the ministry, and also the interventions, the free interventions that are brought by government. Let's take them seriously and embrace them. And also, let's avoid these issues of first going to the traditional healers. These moments of saying, hey, I was cursed by my grandmother because they did not bury her well, they did not pay her bride price, and that's why some of these things are coming. Those traditional things, let's leave them out. Let's first try what is brought by government, and then we'll be able to move to, in case it doesn't work, and upon guidance by these health workers, we should be able to take other actions later on, not really taking this first years.
Children are so much at risk of this disease here. So I think it goes back to the parents to also ensure that their children are safe when it comes to this issue of treating this disease. So I think let the parents take the key mandate of taking their children for treatment when it comes to these issues of the disease. Frederick, I can tell you it is children who are going to be at the risk of this disease here. Because for children, at times, they do not know what exactly to do. So I think to the parents, let's ensure that our children are safe from this disease. Once they contract the disease, we should not hesitate to leave them at home. We should take them nearest medical facilities. We have the health centers that are there, the health center 2s, the health center 3s, the health center 4s that are there. Let us utilize them. The VHTs also there. Let us put them to task, because government actually is paying this to take care of the small cases that we have in the villages. They are there to be the mouthpiece of the government. So let us utilize the VHTs. Let us put them to task. Let us take advantage of them so that at the end of the day, we shall be seeing a reduction when it comes to these issues of such diseases that are coming back. Because this disease was there over the years, it was there, as I said.
True.
Now it is coming back. This is quite shocking because we do not know where it is coming from. And maybe it could be coming back from some of the neighboring countries. So I think let us mind of the issue of cross-border movements. And for those who are coming, please ensure that when you are coming, you come safely. And for those who are also planning to cross, because for our borders, one issue that has always been there concerning our borders is that these people believe, for us it is not a belief, but this is now true, because if you move to the neighboring countries, you will find that people there are speaking the same languages as here. So I think the borders just mean nothing, but we are the same people, because we have had people crossing to do farming in other countries, but when they are living actually here. So I think the issues of borders, we need to take keen care of it. Let us be mindful of what is happening around us. Maybe at the end of the day, we shall be able to avoid such cases.
Actually, if you look at the statistics, that is 399, 75% of these who are affected are women. So one of the reasons why this was said to be maybe women are leading in this was the issues to do with the kind of works they do. There's a lot of dust that women really touch every day. There's a lot to do with the fumes that are coming out from, and also the ashes that come. Those are the things that really the health workers were saying is contributing to many women having most of these cases, but also children follow them immediately. So that means the kind of plays children have, after them playing, really we need to wash their eyes and also make sure that they are clean before they go and sleep. That is one thing. And also really the hygiene at happening places, and also the markets, the social gathering places, markets, churches. We need to bring back the idea of putting hand washing equipments at all these points. The sanitizers, we need to bring them back. We need to also bring the soap and the water to be put at the gate of a market or the churches or the mosques, so that people are able to clean their hands before they enter these places. But also when they are coming out, they should be able to wash their hands as they go back. That's one thing we need to impress in order to really curtail these cases from being escalated. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be able to move to some of the national stories that are really happening in this country, and also the international stories that we have. Thank you.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Star TV with StarTimes Inside Technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. We are discussing so much things to do with the issues to do with the development issues around the trachoma that is really causing a lot of panic in the rural city, where 399 people have already been suspected to be having this disease in the communities. That is through the VSTs that have fronted these figures to the health department of the city, but also the interventions of Ministry of Health together with the partners to go and start massive operations in relation to the persons affected by this disease. But also we talked about the issues to do with how really we should prevent and also bring back the idea of hand washing generally in social gathering places, and also ensuring that people are not able to transmit disease across the borders, how really we can also protect ourselves from our neighbors and also the neighboring districts that we have in this region, particularly the Arua city being a center of business for this region. We feel like there's a lot to do with the issues of sanitation in the urban center, the central business district that we have in Central Division, and also the interactions at the taxi parks, the interactions at the bus terminals really needed to be limited in terms of touching each and every person in order to prevent that. Let's move to one of the national stories where the Kampala lawyer Malema Brizi, who has come back on the light to really petition the decision to arrest people who are allegedly possessing or maybe using the narcotic drugs, who have been arrested. He wants all of them be relieved and given out, released without any charge, because recently the Constitutional Court annulled the narcotics law that we have in this country that was way back in 2015 that has been there, but also now that the law is not there and we have a bill that the parliament recently approved and waiting president's signature. What does this mean? Is it okay to bring back this idea of releasing all these people? We saw that yesterday in our interactions with the lawyer from FIDA Uganda. She clearly told us that they are charging people on the National Drug Act that we have in this country that also bars people from possessing, also using these narcotic drugs, and also maybe selling them. And that is one thing this lawyer was able to tell us. Maybe Faris, yes. What do you make of this discussion brought now by Malema Brizi to the country?
I was actually coming to that. Do we have any provision of the laws whereby it stipulates or criminalizes the issue of drug possession? Now you just mentioned the Drug Act. So I think the bill is coming timely. Malema Biris is one of the controversial areas, I can say. But when it comes to this issue of maybe him wanting this released, he might be having a point. You cannot underscore what he's having. And because he's a lawyer, I believe he must be running to court because he has something that maybe at the end of the day he will be able to defend. Because you rush to court where you expect justice, whereby the issues are weighed. So I think he may be deserving justice there. Let us wait how the court, how far he will reach out with the issue of having this released. Frederick, this issue has not gone well with the people who actually may be directly touched or indirectly touched with this issue here. I've been interacting with the drug, these Mairungi chewers, where this cat actually, or commonly known as Mairungi or Mire in this region, falls. So most of these people have not taken this message in good faith. Most of them are actually complaining already because the bill has already been passed, I think. But now these people are saying this law is not taking effect. We have not seen it taking effect. But now the people are directly touched. The sellers, the Mairungi chewers, those who are abusing these drugs are already complaining. Frederick, just like Malema Biris, these people may be facing the law. So I think what this man is saying is he wants this for release. Maybe he's basing his argument concerning the bill that has just been passed. But now we had the Drug Act. We are also going to be witnessing where these people were charged from. Could they be charged under the law, the new law that's coming in place, or they were charged under the act that was there in place? So this is where the court will justify it, will base its argument or its judgments when it comes to this issue here. Whereby they're going to be looking at how these people were charged, under which law were they charged, because before we are charged, we need provisions of the law where they are stipulated, whereby you will be charged for because the several acts, the several laws will be looked up to when it comes to the issues of judging you. Because Frederick, we cannot be charged where there is no law. If there is no law, otherwise this people will not be arrested. Yeah. So I think he will go back to court, whereby he will have to defend his point, whereby when he wants this people released. Because first of all, they are going to be charged depending on the several acts or the several laws that were in place. If he's basing his argument, because some of these people may be arrested before even that becoming of that, before some of these people may be arrested before that law that came in place. So I think they are going to base the arguments on on the different laws that we are used to maybe charge this people here. So I think that is what I make of all these things, because this is what the law officials, the law officers will be looking up to. They will be looking up at the different laws under which these people are charged. Could it be the new bill that Parliament just passed? Could it be that these people are charged under this new bill? So I think that is what maybe the law enforcement officers will be looking up to.
But I think the bill currently cannot take effect of maybe arresting people or charged under that bill, because it has not been confirmed to be a law, a functional law, until maybe the president assents onto it. But also, if you look at the concerns of the drug dealers, talking about the Mairungi sellers, the cat, most of the issues are around the penalty that has been put. They are not really saying in totality they don't want the law, but the issue is the penalty is too heavy. That's the concern that they've been fronting. But also we are aware that the cost of the implication of these drugs, the use of these drugs, has been that it has contributed to most of these capital offenses that we have in this country. Talk about defilement, talk about the armed robberies, talk about the gang raping that we have in this country, that we have continued to register every and each day. That is coming out from that. And also, if you look at the charge that is put in the bill, the new bill, you will talk about the 20 million Ugandan shillings that people say is really going to affect their livelihood in case really if they are stopped completely from dealing in that. But also talk about the people who were arrested. Just like you have said, there might be people who were arrested before this law was passed. There might be people who were arrested after this, but that is what is yet to be sorted. But also the content of what is there in the petition is what we have not yet seen. That is one thing we will really need to interest ourselves into. But also we are yet to see whether the court will take it the way he has presented it, Mabriz has presented it, and also really see if if it can yield any fruit for those who are dealing in these drugs and also those who had fallen victims of the law, the circumstances around this. But if they are using the national drug law, that means these people may not be released, probably. That's one thing we should be aware of, because that law is also very strengthened, much as it was not popularized so much by the officers responsible, but also the issues of people really not knowing much about our laws is one of the problems that are making most of our people become victims to this. Maybe Faris, what do you make of this national drug law? Has it been there that you heard about it, or it was your first time, just like the way I was surprised of it yesterday?
Frederick, this law I heard about it, but now the issue that I didn't know about it is the inclusion of cat or Mairungi in this law. So I think that is where the issue is coming, and this is one reason actually I'm welcoming this law, Frederick. Much as that we need this Mairungi dealers, we need money from this, but because the sector is creating a lot of employment opportunities if you move within Arua City and several other districts. Because Frederick, I can tell you, Mairungi is not only grown in Westnile region, though we may be one of those regions that are highly abusing it. I was in Butambala district. This is one region, this is one district actually where Mairungi is grown on a large scale, and that is the same case here. So I think it is creating a lot of employment as much as it's creating employment opportunities, but the drug has created more harm than it's creating benefits. So I think we need to embrace the law. As government, I highly welcome this law, Frederick. I highly welcome. One reason is that we know how Mairungi has created to a lot of several criminal activities in this region. Talking about the several criminal activities, Mairungi has been one issue that has been contributing to rape, to defilements, these early marriages, all these other criminal activities. Mairungi has been behind them. So I think this bill needs to be welcomed and have a regulation, because Frederick, right now, if you are to move within Arua City, you can actually see the number of young children abusing these drugs. Some of them are actually underage, but now they are abusing these drugs and they get the courage to do a lot of criminal activities. So I think, in my own view, this is my own opinion, I highly welcome this issue of the bill. So I think let it come in place. We need to have a way that we maybe have a reduction in terms of these issues of abusing drugs. Frederick, in the last 10 or 15 years, people used not to abuse Mairungi like it is on the scale that is today now. Because people used to, I think, abuse Mairungi, but with a lot of self-respect. But today, this is not the same case. People abuse Mairungi anyhow without having any considerations. We have children now abusing Mairungi, women, young girls who are abusing this Mairungi. So I think, in my own opinion, cat being included on the psychotropic and narcotic bill is very highly welcomed. I think I need it. I highly welcome it. I recommend it also to remain there, because this issue has created more harm. Frederick, I can tell you, this Mairungi has created more harm than the benefits. So I think we need to embrace it. Let us welcome the law. So let the law come in place and take its course, because at the end of the day, we need a society that will be very good. Because of great importance, you can just tell how many youths are currently abusing drugs. Frederick, somebody sleeps up to midday and then wakes up to eat food and heading straight for Mairungi. And you can imagine from midday, somebody chewing Mairungi up to 2. How many youths are we losing? How many youths are we losing into the production sector? If this were to be productive of great importance, you can just tell now how many youths are losing out when it comes to this. So I think Mairungi needs to be regulated. This is because this is one of the dangerous drugs. Frederick, I can tell you, because it takes a lot of pause times. And after this chewing their Mairungi, they do not stop there. It also leads them to other drugs, because you need to sleep. That is whereby I want Mairungi be regulated in this region, because after chewing Mairungi, you will see them heading for alcohol or perhaps those other drugs also. So I think Mairungi is creating more harm when it comes to this region than its benefits. So I think the psychotropic and narcotic bill is highly welcome. Where my issue will be under implementation, because we have seen in this country whereby several laws are being drafted or passed, but we have never seen them being implemented. So I think my issue will be under implementation, because Frederick, I can tell you, the issue of marijuana has always been, it has been there. True. But the way people are abusing Mairungi freely with that freedom, so I think it goes back to whereby this issue that people are not fearing the laws, because the laws are not being implemented, and the officers need to come out on board and arrest these people, so that at the end of the day people get to fear these drugs, so that at the end of the day we have a society that is cleaned up.
Okay, many people have been making a lot of monies from this kind of drugs. Talk about the cut that we have commonly in this country. Many districts are having this. When you are moving to Kampala, you will reach Luero district. That's where you will see another Dadam side, that side, okay? in a rural city, those are most of the areas where we find a lot of this cat grown. But also, if you move up to the other sides of Kampala, the outskirts of Kampala, where I studied, somewhere there, you'll be able to see a lot of this. Around the metropolitan area, the Nansana areas, there's a lot of cat grown. So it is not in one side of the country, but it is all over. So has government been tapping anything from this? There's nothing like taxes that have been levied on these people, but they have continued to grow this year in, year out. And that means our government is losing a lot from this. Apart from losing money, there is a lot of crimes committed under the influence of these kind of drugs. So it is worth regulating, it is worth maybe stopping it. So those are the comments that we can make about this to finalize that discussion to do with narcotic drugs and also other substances that are abused in this country. Let's maybe slightly away from this. We are seeing activists, global activists advocating for the welfare of wild animals, maybe forests. Yes. There are so many people who were termed to be hunters, but now many of them have been netted by ways of regulating some of these wildlife animal interactions, and also the trafficking laws that we have international. We also have these laws against poaching and so on. There are lots that many of the countries have coordinated and really have done in order to curb down the issues of poaching and also illegal dealing in wildlife as far as the issues of the welfare of wild animals are concerned, but also creating game parks, reserves to preserve and conserve these animals has been one of the mandates of governments across the world, to preserve and also make sure that these animals breed, they are able to multiply, they are able to be seen for years and years. But we have these people termed to be the illegal dealers in wildlife who continue to sneak with these animals. Do you think the advocacy by activists to ensure that the welfare of animals in this world is to be really brought back? Do you think this will really yield any fruit? Yes. Looking at the status of the countries, the different countries teaming up to fight against this illegal dealing.
Yes, Frederick, one issue that if not addressed is that we face extinction of some of these wildlife species if not protected. Frederick, poaching has been one issue that has been affecting not only Africa but affecting the whole world when it comes to poaching, because one of these issues that of these wild animals, we need to conserve them for generations, and that is why we have the wildlife and game reserves in place. These places are there to ensure that these animals are safe. First of all, when it comes to their in terms of their what you just talked about it, their welfare. This issue does not remain there. We need to ensure that these animals have the best of life that they need. Because Frederick, if you have moved these national places, the zoos, one challenge that has always been there is the lack of food for these animals, and that is how some of these animals have also been misbehaving, and that is where the issue of welfare falls. I think we need to, as governments, we need to come up on board and put up the fight of maybe protecting these animals and ensuring that their welfare is okay. We need to ensure that the food given these animals is enough, and the budget allocation. Let the governments ensure that the budget allocation to these game reserves and these other wildlife animal places where they are kept, the budgets allocated for them are very fair enough, so that at the end of the day, these animals are very safe when it comes to issues of welfare in terms of food, so that we do not see these wildlife-human conflicts erupting. Some of these animals have actually, some of these conflicts have been erupting due to hunger among these animals. Yeah, that is why how they have always been revenging by attacking human life, because they need food, and that is how their issue of welfare is concerned. So I think governments need to come up. This issue should not only be for global countries at the European level. So I think African countries and states also need to adopt the same when it comes to the issue of protecting the wildlife animals and ensuring that their welfare is okay. Let us ensure that, first of all, that the animals are okay, and where they are very safe from other people who may be unscrupulous people may be wanting to deal in these animals. So, Frederick, we have had several accusations. These are not accusations, but they have always been there, because we have seen people being intercepted with some of these properties from animals, such as ivory from elephants. We have had cases whereby people have been intercepted with huge amounts of these things here, and then we have had people who also we've been intercepted from these wild animals with meat from these wild animals. So I think we need to ensure that the welfare of the animals is well minded of. We need to ensure that the animals are also very safe where they are, because at the end of the day they need life. They are there because they need to conserve them for generations, and that is one rule that we need to ensure as countries, as African states, as the world, to ensure that the animals are very safe where they are. First of all, let us be mindful of their welfares, and the food allocated to them, let it be enough, so that at the end of the day we avoid human and wildlife conflicts that have been there over the years.
Okay, one of the steps that we can take as to avoid these encroachments, one is we need to gazette all these wildlife reserves and national parks to ensure that really people do not grab the land around these facilities. But also let's look at a number of issues to do with staffing and the welfare of the staffs. If the staffs are really adequately enough, we'll be able to see that these animals are catered for well in terms of security and also in terms of controlling their movements. These are the people who handle the animals. Talk about the rangers, talk about those tour guides who are also there situated there to guide the tourists. There are moments we have seen some of the tourists being injured by animals. That is just because really the people who are supposed to guard and maybe train these animals to relate well with humans have really lost their job, maybe what they are supposed to do. Those are some of the things that does it about those discussions to do with the wildlife activists advocating for the welfare of the animals. Faris, yes. Maybe we're winding up the discussion. Your final words.
As one issue that I talked about, towards the community members, let us not ensure that we get these animals extinct, because people may be coming to your places just because of these animals. Let us be mindful of these animals. Let us protect them. Let us take key mandate of protecting the animals. We should not only mind of other things. Let us look at these animals as a source of wealth, because these animals where they are, this is more so to the poor who live around the game reserves. We have seen roads coming to your places, and this is one indication that these animals are of great importance. We have had schools, we have had health hospitals, all coming to your places just because of these animals. So I think let us ensure that the welfare of these animals are very okay. And this is the community members, because you are the people who are posing a lot of threat to these animals. And then the business community also. We should not get ourselves involving in trade that may be putting our lives at risk. That is how I make. That is what I make of the discussion concerning the welfare of the animals. Because we are running out of time, I can see we are remaining with very few minutes to pave also way for the Lubarati News team. I can see them getting set, and then maybe that is what I can put for the discussion today. All
right, that marks the end of the Tuesday edition on 5th of September 2023. That we have that all that we packaged for you ends here. Now we are answering in the news in Lubarati with Fete Emmanuel. Let's link up next time tomorrow, maybe at the same time, and the same discussions will be coming up.